Before we begin, I want to explain how this class is going to work. This is a visual readiness class, so it makes no sense for me to teach eye strain while also asking you to stare at a screen for the next hour. The slides are tools. Use them to get the concept or gist, but don't stare. When I need your eyes on the screen, I will cue you. I may say, look at this image, or take a look at the slide, or even something crazy creative like slide 20. Outside of those moments, you have permission to listen without staring. Look across the room, blink, let your jaw loosen, relax your forehead. Let your eyes come off the screen for a moment. That is part of the training. Most of us stare without noticing it. Phones, laptops, reports, dashboards, training modules, and station computers all pull the eyes into the same close, narrow range. Then we wonder why they feel tired, dry, tight, or slow to refocus. Today we are going to practice something different. Use the screen with intention. When the image matters, look. When the story matters, listen. When the drill starts, do the drill. Don't sit here and watch a class about visual recovery while your eyes stay locked the whole time. Actually recover while you're here. This hour is not just information, it's practice, awareness and intention, action, adaptation. Notice the pattern, make a better choice, do the reps, give the body a reason to adapt. So for the next hour, the rules are look when cued, listen when not cued, use the screen when it helps, then let your eyes rest. I want to take a moment and frame what this hour is really about. This seminar is called Operational Visual Readiness. It's a golden hour seminar for people who depend on their eyes under pressure. And before we get into anatomy, numbers, exercises, or anything technical, I want to start with one simple idea. Your eyes adapt to what you repeatedly ask them to do. That's true of the rest of the body, and it's true of the visual system. Modern work keeps the eyes close, narrow, tense, and screen focused. Phones, laptops, tablets, reports, charts, dashboards, documents, and constant near work keep the visual system operating in a very limited range. So during this hour, we're going to talk about what happens when the eyes are held close for too long and how we can begin training them back toward range. This is not an eye exam, a cure claim, or an anti-glasses lecture. Corrective lenses have their place, and professional eye care matters. This is a practical visual recovery seminar for demanding work and modern life. By the end of this hour, you'll leave with a simple recovery protocol you can use immediately. The core of that protocol is easy to remember. Look far, shift focus, blink fully, soften the face, widen awareness, rest the eyes. Those 6 actions are the foundation of this seminar. Look far because your eyes need distance. Shift focus because the visual system was built to move between near and far, not stay locked in one place all day. Blink fully because the surface of the eye depends on a healthy tear film. Soften the face because many of us hold tension around the eyes, forehead, jaw, and neck without realizing it. Widen awareness because modern screens train us into tunnel vision, and rest the eyes because recovery is not weakness, it's maintenance. The modern world trains your eyes close. This hour is about training them back toward range. Let's begin. Opening baseline, mini eye chart. Before we get into the story, I want you to start with something simple and measurable. Take out the mini eye chart or look at the calibration card in front of you. It's a personal baseline tool for this class. I'm going to call it an eye strength score because that language is easy to remember, but what we really mean is a visual readiness calibration. The value of this tool is repeatability. Same chart, distance, lighting, and posture, same process. That gives you a way to notice how your eyes feel and perform before and after visual work, before and after rest, and across the next several weeks. Stand or sit tall, soften your jaw, let your shoulders drop. Hold the chart at the instructed distance or use the wall version if that's what you have. Don't squint, strain, or turn this into a contest. Just mark the clearest line you can read comfortably. Take a breath and do it now. Now write down your starting score. It may be 20 out of 20 or 20 out of 40. It may be something else. The number is a baseline. Firefighters understand these. We take vitals before we treat a patient and check air before we enter a structure. Today we're checking the visual system before we train it. During this class, you may notice that comfort, clarity, and focus speed can shift after very small resets. It means the visual system responds to rest, range, blinking, breathing, and better repetition. Keep that baseline visible. We'll come back to it. This first score is here to give your brain a reference point. Without a baseline, most people judge their eyes by mood. They say, "My eyes feel bad today," or "I think I'm seeing better." A baseline makes that more disciplined. It gives you something to compare against after rest, after distance viewing, after blinking, after hydration, and after a few weeks of repeated practice. Use the same honesty you'd use with a patient assessment. Don't upgrade the number because you almost guessed it. Don't downgrade the number because you're frustrated. Mark the clearest line you can read without forcing. That's your starting point. It's information, not identity. Slide 1, opening anchor. Image. Look at this image for a moment. Don't worry yet about who he is. Just notice the position. One arm raised, one body held in a pattern, one repeated choice, held long enough that the body begins to adapt around it. That's the opening idea for today. The body adapts to what it's repeatedly asked to do. In the fire service, we accept this truth everywhere else. We see it in backs, knees, shoulders, hips, sleep patterns, stress responses, hearing, and posture. We know the job leaves marks. Some are obvious, some build quietly, some feel normal because everybody around us has the same problem. Today we're talking about one of the quieter marks. We're talking about the eyes. Your eyes aren't just cameras, they're living tissue. They're moved by muscles. They focus using ligaments and muscles. They're supplied by blood flow, influenced by the nervous system, affected by stress, and trained by repetition. If you repeatedly ask your eyes to live in one narrow working range, they adapt. If you repeatedly ask them to stare close, under fatigue with reduced blinking, tight facial muscles, and limited distance viewing, they adapt to that too. This class is about interrupting that pattern before it owns you. Slide 2, meet your instructor. Good morning. I'm Dave Marino, retired fire captain and paramedic. I spent 25 years in the fire service and understand station life and the quiet habit of pushing through discomfort because the job still has to get done. I came to this topic through my own experience. During my career, I spent years studying, reading, writing, promoting, documenting, and working at close distance. Over time, my distance vision felt slower, my eyes felt tired, screen work felt heavier. I started paying attention to accommodation, blinking, distance viewing, facial tension, and the way repeated habits shape the visual system. This class is the practical version of that work. For adults in the fire service, the immediate issue is often comfort, focus speed, eye fatigue, dry eyes, headaches, and visual awareness during long work days. For children and families, the concern is long-term visual habit formation in a close-up, indoor, screen-heavy world. Two different visual problems, two recoveries, one practical system. My role is to give you a practical framework you can actually use at the station and at home with your kids. Slide 3, the myopia epidemic. This slide gives us the big picture. Myopia is increasing worldwide. At the same time, screen-heavy lifestyles are contributing to digital eye strain and reduced visual comfort. Those aren't identical problems. Myopia is a refractive condition. In common myopia, distance light focuses in front of the retina, often because the eye has grown too long for its optical power. Digital eye strain is a comfort and performance problem. It can involve dry eyes, reduced blinking, glare, posture, sustained near focus, fatigue, and slower transitions after close work. They're not the same condition, but they often live in the same modern visual environment. More close work, more indoor time and screens, less distance viewing, less daylight exposure, less natural scanning of space and motion. Does this sound familiar to your environment? That's why I want you to think bigger than a stronger prescription. The broader issue is visual readiness. Visual readiness means your eyes are prepared to shift, recover, scan, blink, rest, and widen awareness. It means your eyes aren't trapped in one distance all day. It means the visual system gets range. For firefighters, this is crucial because our job is visual. We read labels, maps, gauges, hands, faces, building conditions, traffic, and crew movement. If the eyes are part of the job, then visual maintenance belongs in the job. Global overview. The first fact is simple. Myopia is a leading cause of distance vision impairment worldwide. That should get our attention because distance vision isn't optional in a high-risk profession. High myopia also raises the risk of serious retinal and ocular complications. Myopia isn't just an inconvenience when it progresses to higher levels, it carries risk. Families should take visual development seriously. Think of this slide as the warning light on the dashboard. It doesn't tell you the whole problem. It tells you the system deserves attention. Projected global prevalence. This projection shows why the topic is getting louder. In 2000, the estimated global prevalence of myopia was about 22.9%. The projection for 2030 is about 36%. The projection for 2050 is almost half of the global population. Those numbers are projections, not guarantees, but they point in a clear direction. The visual environment has changed and the eyes are responding. The lesson is prevention-minded thinking. Firefighters already understand prevention. We don't wait for the structure fire to talk about smoke alarms or wait for the rollover to talk about seat belts. Visual readiness fits that same mindset. The goal is to recognize your daily visual habits should be constantly assessed. Outdoor time, professional eye care, rest breaks, blink quality, near work habits, and distance viewing require your attention. Small habits don't feel dramatic, but they change the daily load on the system. And when you see a projection like this, the first reaction can be to debate the exact number. That's fair. Good professionals should question data, but even if the exact future number changes, the direction is still important. The world's becoming more indoor, more close focus, more screen dependent, and more visually confined. That's the environment our eyes and our children's eyes are living in. So the responsible response isn't alarmism, it's earlier awareness, better habits, and more consistent professional screening when appropriate by age. And now look at the age pattern. The projected burden is especially high in younger populations. That should pique the interests of every parent, grandparent, coach, teacher, and firefighter who works in community risk reduction. Children aren't just small adults, their eyes are still developing. Their visual habits are being built inside a world that's very different from the one many of us grew up in. More indoor time, more school demands, more screens and close work, less outdoor play, less horizons and daylight, less long distance scanning. For adults, the immediate problem may be visual fatigue after reports and phones. For children, the bigger concern is development and long-term visual habit formation. That's why I want you to take this home, not as fear or a lecture, just as a simple family habit. After close work, look far. During screen use, blink fully. Build outdoor daylight into the day. Take visual breaks seriously. Get regular eye exams. Watch for children who squint, sit too close, complain of headaches, avoid distance activities, or struggle to see the board. The family version of this class is simple. Give the eyes more range. What is driving the increase? This slide gives us the likely drivers, and I want to be precise. The evidence is stronger around the overall visual environment than around screens alone. Screens are part of the modern visual pattern, but we shouldn't pretend that science says every device directly causes myopia by itself. The bigger pattern includes increased near work, less outdoor time, education pressure, family history, and the way genetics interacts with environment. Near work means the eyes spend more time focused close. Phones, tablets, laptops, paperwork, books, and mobile data terminals all keep the visual system in a near demand state. Less time outdoors contributes, especially for children. Outdoor daylight exposure appears to be protective against myopia development. It means the visual system is biologically influenced by the environment, including light exposure and distance viewing. Education pressure is included because heavy academic and screen demands can concentrate the eyes at near distance for long periods. Genetics and family history is real, but genetics isn't the whole story. So the practical takeaway is balanced, not extreme. We don't demonize screens. We don't ignore them either. We build better visual habits around them. High myopia. High myopia deserves its own warning. High myopia is often defined around -6 diopters or worse. It can increase the risk of serious complications such as glaucoma, retinal detachment, myopic maculopathy, and cataracts. The class you're in today isn't a treatment plan for high myopia or a promise to reverse an eye that has already elongated. It's not a substitute for diagnosis or management. What this class can do is help you understand the importance of visual habits, screening, awareness, recovery, and prevention-minded behavior. In the fire service, we separate prevention, mitigation, and treatment all the time. Smoke alarms don't extinguish a room and contents fire, and hydration doesn't treat a myocardial infarction. A visual break doesn't replace an eye exam, but prevention and maintenance still must occur. That's the lane we're in today. Slide 9, digital eye strain. Now we shift to the adult operational problem most firefighters will feel immediately. Digital eye strain is the today problem. This is the dryness after documentation, the blurred or fluctuating vision after hours of screen work, the headache that builds across a shift, the neck and shoulder tension that comes with leaning into a screen, the slower focus transition when you look up from near work and the distance takes a moment to settle. That last one is important. If you look down at a tablet, a map, a phone, an EPCR, or a mobile data terminal, and then look up into a dynamic environment, your eyes need to transition. The faster and more comfortably they recover, the better your awareness. Screen-heavy work can degrade visual comfort and day-to-day performance. That makes this operational. When your eyes are dry, tired, narrowed, and locked close, you don't see the world the same way. You may still function. Firefighters are good at functioning uncomfortable, but functioning isn't the same as readiness. Readiness means the system is maintained before it fails. Slide 10, introducing Amar Bharati. Now we return to the man from the opening image. This is Amar Bharati. He is widely known for keeping one arm raised for decades as an act of devotion and renunciation. I'm not bringing him into this class to judge him. I'm bringing him in because his story gives us a powerful biological lesson. He repeatedly asked his body to hold one position. Over time, the body adapted to that position. The muscles, joints, and connective tissue changed. Blood flow and nerve signaling were affected. The brain's map of that limb was reinforced around the new pattern. What began as a choice became a pattern, and eventually the pattern became difficult to reverse. That's the principle. What we repeatedly ask the body to do, the body adapts to. In firefighters, we see the same principle in different ways, not usually as dramatic, not usually as visible, but real. A shoulder that always carries load a certain way adapts, a hip that sits in the apparatus for years, a jaw that stays clenched under stress, a neck that lives forward over screens all adapt, and eyes that live locked at near distance adapt too. Slide 11, two sacrifices. This slide compares two sacrifices. On one side we have the sadhu, a Hindu ascetic monk. His sacrifice is visible, one arm raised, one posture repeated, one pattern held over time. On the other side, we've firefighter Miller. His sacrifice is less visible, but many of you'll recognize it immediately. Miller spends the shift moving between station screens, dispatch notes, mobile data terminals, phone checks, reports, EPCRs, maps, medication labels, apparatus computers, training modules, and interrupted rest. He isn't choosing a spiritual posture. He is answering the demands of the job. But the biological principle is similar. Repetition creates adaptation. The sadhu's arm is the visible example. Miller's visual system is the operational example. Here's the key line. Your duty, your strain, your choice, and your recovery all matter. We can't remove every visual demand from the job. Firefighters will still write reports, will still use tablets, will still read screens, drive at night, will still work under bad lighting and fatigue. But we can change the recovery pattern. That's where choice enters. Slide 12, biological adaptation. Biological adaptation isn't punishment, it's efficiency. The body tries to make repeated demands easier. If you repeatedly load a muscle, it may strengthen. If you repeatedly immobilize a joint, it may stiffen. If you repeatedly hold tension, the nervous system may treat that tension as normal. The body adapts to what it's repeatedly asked to do. That's useful when the repeated demand is healthy. It's harmful when the repeated demand is narrow, static, and unrecovered. With the sadhu, the adaptation is dramatic. Muscle underuse, connective tissue shortening, reduced circulation, altered joint mechanics, and nervous system mapping all reinforce the raised arm pattern. With modern visual work, the adaptation is quieter. The eyes get less distance range. The ciliary muscle spends more time supporting near focus. Blink quality drops during screen attention. The face and jaw tighten. Peripheral awareness narrows. The brain gets fewer repetitions scanning depth, motion, and distance. None of this means the eyes are doomed. It means the eyes are trainable. The same principle that creates the problem can also help create the recovery. Better repetition creates better adaptation. Slide 13, eye anatomy and accommodation. Now we need the anatomy. Inside the eye is a flexible crystalline lens. That lens helps focus light onto the retina. Around that system is the ciliary body, which contains the ciliary muscle. The ciliary muscle changes the shape of the lens through tension on the zonular fibers. For distance vision, the ciliary muscle relaxes. The zonular fibers pull the lens flatter. A flatter lens is better suited for focusing distant objects. For near vision, the ciliary muscle contracts. That reduces tension on the zonular fibers. The lens becomes thicker and more rounded, which helps focus near objects. This process is called accommodation. Accommodation is one reason you can look from the dashboard to the road, from a patient's medication label to their face, from a phone to a hallway, from a map to an address, from a report to the bay door. When accommodation is flexible, focus changes feel natural. When the system is fatigued or locked in one range, the transition can feel slower. Important distinction. Distance viewing is recovery for the focusing system. It doesn't treat established myopia. It doesn't reverse axial eye growth, but it does give the accommodation system a break from sustained near demand. That break is valuable. Think about the ciliary muscle as a control system, not a biceps curl. It's small, smooth muscle inside the eye, and you don't consciously command it the way you command your hand, but your habits still influence the demands placed on it. Long periods of near work keep the accommodation system engaged in a narrow range. Distance viewing changes that demand. That's why the phrase look far is more than a slogan. Looking far changes the state of the focusing system. It gives the eye a different job. It gives the brain different visual information. It gives the face and posture a chance to release. It also reminds you that the world isn't only the rectangle in your hand or on your desk. In operational terms, accommodation is a transition skill. You use it when you move from the rig computer to the roadway, from the cardiac monitor to the patient, from the medication label to the family member, from a phone message to the street in front of the station. Better transitions reduce effort. Less effort leaves more attention available for the job. Slide 14, the sadhu story. The sadhu story gives us a timeline. At first, the body resists, muscles fatigue, joints ache, the nervous system sends discomfort signals, the position feels unnatural. Then the body begins to adapt. The tissues shorten around the pattern. The shoulder loses normal range. The arm no longer behaves like an arm that moves through full daily function. After long enough, the pattern becomes the body's new normal. That's a powerful warning, but it's also a useful teaching tool. The body doesn't only adapt to extreme spiritual practices, it adapts to chairs and helmets. It adapts to forward head posture, stress breathing, and night shift fatigue, whatever we repeat. So when we talk about vision, we shouldn't ask, why are my eyes tired? As if the answer is mysterious. We should ask, what have I repeatedly asked my eyes to do? Have I asked them to look close all day or stare at a screen without blinking fully? Were they focused under stress while my face is tight and my breathing is shallow? Have I asked them to recover or only to perform? That question changes everything. Slide 15, Firefighter Miller's Daily Reality. Now meet Firefighter Miller. Miller's shift should sound familiar. Station computer, phone, apparatus screen, dispatch notes, mapping, maybe some downtime that turns into more scrolling. Then the dispatch comes and he has to look up, reorient, move, drive, scan, assess, and operate. This is modern work. The fire service has added digital tools for good reasons: better records, mapping, patient care, accountability, better information, but every tool has a cost if we don't manage the human system using it. Miller may spend hours in near focus, then suddenly need distance vision, peripheral awareness, motion detection, night adaptation, and quick visual decisions. That's a visual shift after a visual lock. If his eyes are dry, his neck is tight, his blink rate has dropped, his face is braced, and his focus system has been held close, he may still perform, but he is spending more effort to do it. We're going to give Miller a reset. Not a miracle, not a cure, a practical reset. Slide 16, the visual parallel, the visual cast. This is the visual cast, and a cast protects an injured limb by holding it still. That can be necessary, but if the limb stays immobilized long enough, range of motion decreases, muscles weaken, coordination changes, the body forgets some of what it used to do naturally. Sustained near focus can act like a soft visual cast. Your eyes aren't literally in plaster, but functionally they may be held in a narrow pattern. Same distance, posture, screen, and close demand. Same reduced blink and limited peripheral scanning. Over time, the eyes get fewer repetitions, doing what they were designed to do across a wider range. Modern visual habits can reduce comfort, flexibility, and recovery, especially after sustained near work. That's enough reason to act. The opposite of the visual cast is visual range. Look far, shift focus, blink fully, soften the face, widen awareness, rest the eyes. That's the whole class in 6 actions. What happens when immobilization becomes the dominant pattern and recovery never follows? Screens and close work are similar. They're not evil. They're useful tools. The problem is when close work becomes the dominant visual pattern and the eyes never get range afterward. A casted arm needs progressive return to movement. A visually confined system needs progressive return to distance, blinking, scanning, and rest. The work isn't aggressive, it's patient and repeated. The eyes don't need to be punished back into shape. They need to be reminded repeatedly that they have more than one job. Slide 17, structural adaptation, digital stiffness. Digital stiffness is the body's response to repeated screen posture and visual fixation. You can see it in the neck, forward head, tight shoulders, compressed breathing, jaw tension, reduced movement, shallow visual field. You can feel it in the eyes, dryness, burning, blur, pressure, fatigue, and slower focus transitions. None of this requires a dramatic injury. It builds quietly through repetition. Firefighters are especially vulnerable because our work comes in uneven blocks. We may sit close to a screen, then suddenly move into urgent physical action. We work at night, document after calls when the nervous system is still activated, and we're forced to read small details even when tired. A screen isn't poison. Documentation isn't optional. Phones aren't disappearing. The answer isn't pretending we can go back in time. The answer is visual recovery, built into the workday. Firefighters shouldn't wait for the low air alarm to start thinking about air. Visual readiness uses the same mindset. Recover before failure. Digital stiffness also changes decision making in subtle ways. When the head is forward, the jaw is tight, and the eyes are locked close, attention narrows. You may still be awake, but you're not as wide. The body has shifted into a braced posture. That's not ideal for a profession that depends on scanning, anticipation, and situational awareness. The recovery habit is intentionally small. Every time you break the screen lock, look far, breathe, blink, and widen your field, you're telling the nervous system, we're not trapped here. That's a small message, but repeated often enough, it becomes a new pattern. Slide 18, other body systems that adapt. This slide reminds us that the visual system isn't special in this regard. Hips adapt to sitting, shoulders adapt to load, the cervical spine adapts to forward posture, the jaw adapts to clenching, the nervous system adapts to repeated stress. Firefighters already understand the body as an adaptive system. We stretch for range, we train for capacity, we rehab for recovery, we check gear for readiness, and so on. The eyes deserve to be included in that same maintenance mindset. You can't separate the eyes from the rest of the body. If the jaw is tight, the face is braced, the breathing is shallow, the shoulders are elevated, and the neck is forward, the eyes aren't operating in a relaxed system. They're working inside a stressed system. That's why today's reset isn't only about the eyeballs. It includes breathing, posture, facial relaxation, blinking, hydration, and distance viewing. The body works as a system. The recovery should too. Slide 19. Consequences over time. Here's what can happen over time when sustained near focus becomes the default pattern. Distance may feel slower after close work. Focus transitions may feel strained. Eye strain headaches and fatigue may become normal. Potential myopic changes over time remain a larger concern, especially when we're talking about children and developing eyes. The most immediate operational issue isn't that every firefighter is developing myopia from screens. The immediate issue is that screen heavy work can degrade comfort and performance now. Slow refocus after near work may not seem like much in a classroom, but in the real world, transitions matter. Look down at the MDT, look up to traffic, look down at a medication list, look up to a patient, look down at a map, look up to an address, look down at a phone, look up to a child crossing near the station. The visual system is constantly transitioning between distances and demands. If those transitions are sluggish, dry, strained, or narrowed, you're spending extra mental energy on something that should feel automatic. That's what we're trying to restore: comfort, speed, range, and awareness. And slide 20. The choice, fixation, or recovery. This slide gives you the choice. Fixation means the eyes stay trapped in one pattern. Near focus, screen stare, reduced blinking, tight face, narrow awareness, no deliberate recovery. Recovery means the eyes get range, near and far, full blinking, hydration, rest, palming, outdoor light, wider awareness, regular eye exams when needed. The choice isn't whether you use screens. You will. The choice is whether screens get the last word. Every shift gives you opportunities to reset. Before reports, before leaving the station, after a call, during a training break, while waiting for coffee, before bed, after using your phone, with your kids after homework. Small routines matter because they're repeatable. That's the firefighter advantage. We understand small disciplined habits. We understand checklists. We understand that little things done consistently prevent big problems later. Today, recovery isn't a vague wellness idea, it's a practical operating choice. Slide 21. The recovery tools. These are the tools: the 20-20-20 rule, near far focus drills, palming, blinking, and hydration. None of these are complicated. That's why they work in real life. The fire service doesn't need a routine that takes 45 minutes, requires equipment, and falls apart after the first busy shift. We need something short, repeatable, and useful. The purpose is to interrupt visual confinement and give the eyes a better working cycle. The 20-20-20 rule gives the focusing system a break from near demand. Near far focus drills give the accommodation system clean repetitions, shifting between distances. Palming reduces stimulation and helps quiet the face, breath, and nervous system. Blinking and hydration support the tear film, which affects comfort and clarity. The principle is consistency, small habits, big results. Don't underestimate a simple reset done hundreds of times across a year. There's a reason this tool set is short. Long routines tend to fail under real workload. A firefighter may have 2 minutes before the next call, 30 seconds between tasks, or one quiet moment before getting pulled back into documentation. A practical system must survive that reality. Slide 22, 20-20-20 rule. Let's practice the first tool now. The 20-20-20 rule is simple. Every 20 minutes, look at something at least 20 feet away for at least 20 seconds. The exact number isn't hard and fast. The value is the interruption. You're breaking the near focus lock and giving the accommodation system a chance to relax. Pick a distant target now. If you're indoors, look across the room. If there's a window, look through the window. Choose something stable, a sign, tree, wall edge, door frame, whatever you want. Just find a distant object. Don't squint or try forcing clarity. Let your face soften. Let your breathing slow. Let the eyes receive distance. Start now. Pause 20 seconds. Now come back. See, nothing dramatic, just maintenance. That's the point. A reset that's too hard won't survive the shift. This survives the shift. Use it anytime you realize your eyes have been stuck closed. Give your eyes a break. Reset your focus. Don't wait until your eyes hurt. If you wait for pain or heavy fatigue, you're already late. The 20-20-20 rule works best as prevention and recovery, not as a rescue attempt after hours of visual neglect. Make it part of the work rhythm. Report block, look far. Phone block, look far. Study block, look far. Homework block with your child, look far together. Slide 23. Near far focus drills. Now we add clean repetitions. Hold a finger, pen, or small object at comfortable arm's length. Pick a far target beyond it. The drill is near, then far, then near, then far. The goal isn't speed, the goal is quality. Focus on the near target, let it become clear. Now shift to the far target, let it become clear. Don't strain, don't clench your jaw, don't hold your breath. Let the focus arrive. We'll do a few slow repetitions together. Near, breathe in, far, breathe out. Near, breathe in, far, breathe out. Pause now for live repetitions. This drill gives the accommodation system a job it doesn't get enough during screen-heavy work. Instead of living at one distance, the eyes practice shifting. Again, this isn't a medical treatment for established myopia. It's a training and recovery drill for focus, flexibility, and visual comfort. If you ever feel pain, dizziness, double vision, or symptoms that concern you, stop and get professional guidance. Clean repetitions are the standard. Not forced, not strained, only clean repetitions. If your focus feels slow, don't panic. Slow is information. Let the system find the target. The goal is to build a calm transition, not a forced snap. Forcing creates tension. Tension defeats the purpose. Smooth, relaxed, repeatable focus shifts are the standard. Slide 24. Palming, visual rest. Now we rest. Rub your hands together lightly to warm them. Close your eyes. Place your palms over your closed eyes without pressing on the eyeballs. No pressure, just darkness and warmth. Let your elbows rest if you can. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. Breathe in through the nose. Exhale slowly. We're going to take a short palming reset. Pause 60 to 90 seconds. Now open your eyes slowly and look at a distant target. Notice how your eyes feel. Nothing dramatic happened. That's fine. Maybe the face feels softer or the eyes feel less dry. Maybe the room feels a little easier to look at and your distance target feels faster to find. Palming isn't mystical, it's visual rest. It reduces stimulation, encourages the eyelids to close fully, and gives the nervous system a brief downshift. Use it after heavy screen blocks and before bed. Use it after stressful calls when you're safe and off task. Make sure to include the breathing and ensure each breath in and out are your full lung capacity. The breathing should be graceful but purposeful. Not explosive like a spirometry test, though. Save the wheezing for another day. This is all about relaxing and releasing muscle signals. The eyes perform better when the whole system is allowed to recover. Palming is useful because it gives people permission to stop taking in visual information for a moment. Firefighters spend much of the day receiving inputs, tones, radios, screens, movement, people, hazards, and decisions. Closing the eyes safely for a short reset reduces that load. It's a small nervous system downshift. Don't press on the eyes. Don't grind the palms into the sockets. This isn't massage. It's covered, rest, breathing, warmth, and darkness. Simple is the point. Slide 25, blinking and hydration. Blinking sounds too simple until you understand what happens during screen focus. When people concentrate on screens, blink rate often drops. Blinks may also become incomplete. That means the tear film doesn't refresh as well across the surface of the eye. The tear film plays a part in contributing towards clear, comfortable vision. Dry eyes can create blur, burning, irritation, and fluctuating clarity. So we train the simple things. Blink fully and often. Let the eyelids close completely. Keep eyes hydrated. Use lubricating drops if recommended by your eye care professional. Drink enough water across the day. Pay attention to air conditioning, fans, smoke exposure, dry station environments, and long documentation blocks. Let's do 10 full blinks now. Slow and complete. Not hard squeezing, just full closure and full opening. Pause for 10 blinks. That's another reset you can do anywhere. The lesson is simple. A hydrated eye is usually a more comfortable eye. A comfortable eye works with less strain. The blink drill is also a great family carryover. Kids understand blinking. They don't need a lecture on tear film to learn that screens dry the eyes, and full blinks help. Make it normal, make it light, make it routine. Before homework, blink. During tablet time, look far. After screens, go outside when possible. Slide 26. The science behind recovery. This slide brings the tools back to the mechanism. Look far to relax the focusing system, blink to restore the tear film, near far drills to practice accommodation changes, palming to reduce stimulation and tension, hydration to support surface comfort, outdoor time to support better visual habits, and for children, a healthier developmental environment. The recovery tools work because they respect the biology. Your eyes are dynamic. They weren't built to stare at one distance for hours without interruption. They were built for motion, depth, distance, light changes, scanning, and recovery. When we restore those elements, we're not doing anything strange. We're giving the visual system what modern work has quietly removed. Consistency is the key. One reset won't change a career. One blink drill won't change a year. One outdoor walk won't change childhood visual development by itself. But repeated recovery creates a different pattern. That's the lesson from the entire class. Repetition can create the problem, and repetition can support the recovery. The question is what you repeat. The visual system has several working parts, and those working parts respond to load and recovery, accommodation, tear film, posture, breathing, attention, and peripheral awareness all matter to how vision feels and performs during a workday. That's enough to justify the practice. Slide 27, serve fully, see clearly. This slide is the firefighter reason. Your eyes are your most critical tool. Before the irons, hose, monitor, or radio, you have to see, interpret, and decide. You read the road, you read smoke, patients, rooms, crews. You read the small details that tell you whether things are getting better or worse. Visual readiness is part of your service. When your eyes are maintained, you bring more of yourself to the work. Better comfort, better awareness, better focus transitions, better ability to recover between demands. And this doesn't stay at the station. You can bring it home. Teach your kids to look far after screens, find more outdoor time, notice visual strain, show your family that caring for the body includes caring for the eyes. Serve fully, see clearly. It's a commitment to protect the system you depend on. There's also a leadership piece here. When you model visual readiness, you make it easier for others to take care of themselves without embarrassment. A captain who says, let's take 20 seconds and look far before we bury ourselves in reports, isn't being soft. He is setting a standard for sustainable performance. Slide 28. The final truth. Use creates adaptation. The Sadhu raised his arm for decades and biology adapted. Firefighter Miller spends years staring at screens 6 inches from his face and biology adapts. The question isn't whether your eyes are changing. The question is whether they're being intentionally changed or accidentally changed. Most visual habits are accidental. We don't decide to blink less. We just get absorbed. We don't decide to hold our breath. We just concentrate. We don't decide to lock our eyes close for hours. The work pulls us there. That's why intentionality matters. Train your eyes, protect your vision, perform at your best, not through hype, not through fear, through small, repeatable discipline recovery. Look far, shift focus, blink fully, soften the face, widen awareness, rest the eyes. That's the protocol. That's the practical takeaway. That's what you can start today. Slide 29. Anchor, image callback. We end by returning to the image we started with. At the beginning, this was just a striking picture. Now it should mean something more. It should remind you that the body listens to repetition. The sadhu's raised arm is extreme. Our modern visual habits are ordinary, but ordinary habits repeated for years can still shape the body. That's not a reason for fear. It's a reason for responsibility. If the body adapts to what we repeatedly ask it to do, then we need to ask better things of it. Ask your eyes to look far, ask them to shift focus, ask them to blink fully, ask them to soften, ask them to widen awareness, ask them to rest. Do that during real work days, do it at home or at a park with your kids at the very least before your eyes are screaming for relief. Maintenance works best before failure. That's true for apparatus, hose, and hydrants. It's true for air management and for physical readiness. It's also true for optimum visual performance and sustainability. Slide 30, daily visual routine and calibration log. Now we come back to your mini eye chart and your baseline. This is the take-home system. At the top is the daily routine. It's short on purpose, look far, shift focus, blink fully, soften the face, widen awareness, rest the eyes. At the bottom is the 4-week calibration log, morning, afternoon, and evening. You don't have to make this complicated. You're simply watching for patterns. Maybe your morning score is better than your evening score, or your eyes drop after heavy screen blocks. Maybe palming and outdoor time helps. Watch how hydration changes comfort, or your focus transitions improve when you use the 20-20-20 rule consistently. That's useful information. Again, this isn't a diagnosis. It's not a replacement for an eye exam. It's a personal readiness log. Now look at your starting score from the beginning of class. Do one final comfortable check with the same chart, same distance, same posture, and same lighting. Pause for final calibration. Mark the result. If nothing changed, you still learned the system. Make a note if comfort or clarity changed. If your eyes feel less tense, notice that. The point isn't to chase a number. The point is to build awareness and recovery. Take this home, use it for 4 weeks, keep it simple. Protect your eyes the same way you protect every other tool you depend on. Operational visual readiness isn't complicated, it's repeated maintenance. Use the log like a training record, not like a report card. Morning, afternoon, and evening entries can show you when your eyes are strongest, when they fade, and what helps them recover. If your afternoon score drops after long documentation, that's useful. If outdoor time improves comfort or blinking helps dryness but not clarity, that's useful. You're learning your system. At the end of 4 weeks, don't only ask whether the number changed, ask better questions. Are my eyes more comfortable? Do I notice screen fatigue sooner? Do I recover faster after near work? Am I blinking more? Am I getting outside more? Am I teaching better habits at home? Those are meaningful outcomes. And if the log shows worsening, persistent symptoms, unusual changes, double vision, pain, new flashes or floaters, or visual field changes, don't self coach your way around that. Get professional care. Good readiness include knowing when the problem is outside the scope of a drill. Thank you for your time today. Take care of your eyes, take care of your crews, and take this home to the people you love.